A very warm welcome to you. It's a pleasure to have you join us again on Almond Finance and Wealth Report this week. As you know, we are source for latest happening information in the financial sector of the nation's economy. My name is Faith Ugwode. On this edition of the program, we'll kick off by bringing you the exclusive interview I had with Dr. Ralph Osayeme, a one-time president of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, CIBN, and is currently the executive chairman of GF Investment Group. I took him up on the impact of high interest rates and the real sector, as well as other sundry issues plaguing the Nigerian economy at the moment. Plus, across major cities and towns in Nigeria today, you hear of fire incidents in marketplaces, shopping malls, residential areas, and even warehouses. When these losses occur, who are those that are responsible to take care of those that lose their money in fire outbreaks? On this edition of the program, our special report would focus on the rising wave of fire incidents and the insurance industry. These are more what we have for you on the lineup this week, so I urge you, as always, to sit back, relax, and spend this time with us. But all the details are coming to you after this break. Please stay with us. All right, welcome back. On the site of Almond today, I have the honor and privilege to be hosting Dr. Ralph Osayeme, a finance and management expert who is also now in the manufacturing sector. He's my guest on the program today, and together we'll be looking at the financial services sector, the real sector, and of course, all the issues surrounding the economy at the moment. Dr. Ralph Osayeme is also a past president of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria. Thank you so much, sir, for joining me on the program.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Okay. So I'm going to start off by asking you to give us an overview of the economy at the moment.
The general overview is that the economy is going down, so to say. We are witnessing what I would regard as a recession, because all the various indicators of economic activity are going down. Production is going down, demand is going down, exchange rates are moving up, interest rates are moving up, inflation is moving up gradually. And some people have attributed this to the impending elections, and that when the high fever then gets up to the peak after the elections, the boiling cauldron will go down, and then things can start to stabilize.
Okay. Do you also share the view that the election fever is what's responsible for the recession we are experiencing in the economy at the moment?
Yes, I would think so, because most investment managers take caution whenever there's going to be an election, particularly given the experience that most of them have had in Africa. And quite a lot of investors are holding back, thinking that maybe after the elections then they can start to take positions. You can see the effect of this on the capital market. Quite a lot of funds are flown out of the economy by the foreign investors, waiting for the time when things will stabilize and they can start coming back.
Okay, now, would you say also that what we are facing currently in the economy is directly or indirectly related to the plunge in the global crude oil price?
Oh yes, majorly, because you know that we are virtually a single product economy. We derive the large chunk of our foreign inflows from oil, and given the kind of 58% depreciation in the inflow from oil per barrel, from $130 to now oscillating around $55, the effect of that can be terrible on any economy, particularly on a fragile economy like ours, where you don't have the plan B. But happily, I think the Minister of Finance has been trying to see what we can do, particularly with regard to some austerity measures in place. Maybe that can create some amelioration for the time being. But overly, I think we should look into our economic plans and start thinking of how to create some other situations whereby we can get foreign exchange other than petroleum.
Okay, I know that's an issue that's been ongoing for years, that we should begin to look at other channel of, especially in the economy, that will give us foreign earnings. But it does appear that those who should know are not doing what they are supposed to do. Do you think it's wise for them going forward, given the experience of what we've seen now with the crash in the prices of crude oil, that those in authorities, what areas do you think they should be looking at the moment?
Yes, you're right. We may not have been doing it in the past, but now the exigency of the moment makes it imperative for us to look in that direction. And any incoming administration must just put up their caps, get the very best eggheads in the country, nationally and internationally, and come up with economic plans that would deviate from this single factor economy, whereby we are always looking at oil and oily business. We can be going into agriculture. Before the advent of oil, of course, you know, in this country, some of us grew in that era. We didn't have petroleum, so to say, and we lived on cocoa, palm produce, and groundnut. We talk on cotton. And we're talking of the groundnut pyramids, the cocoa business, timber business, particularly in the West, and in the East, palm produce, and in the North, groundnut and cotton. And we lived on it up to the advent of petroleum, and then we got our hands oily. And maybe it is a time for us to put up some of our thinking caps to go in a direction whereby in the next 10 years we can do a total restructuring of the economy of this country.
Okay, now moving on. As a player today in the real sector, there's been, in fact, an astronomical rise in exchange rates. What's the impact of that on the real sector?
It is very, very devastating. And I can say this, as Rosie said, being a performer in that sector, because all the variants of production will go up. Your supply of raw materials, your inputs, material inputs, and even human inputs like staff. All these costs will go up, and to be able to absorb them in an economy where you have this kind of scenario will be rather difficult. And frankly, most organizations that are breathing today are breathing very, very, in a very difficult situation. But I know that it is not insurmountable, provided we know that there's still some kind of silver lining at the end of the tunnel.
Is there?
But I believe that someday, somehow, somewhere, we will get there, because we cannot be in this kind of quagmire for too long.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you this question based on your pedigree coming from the banking sector. What would you say is responsible for what we're experiencing now in terms of the high exchange rate?
Exchange rate is purely simple. It's the interplay of supply and demand. And where you can't guarantee your constant supply of foreign exchange. And given a kind of background for compulsive desire for foreign exchange to buy things, even as mundane as toothpicks and Pampers, you discover that it's never going to go down. I was reading the papers today, Punch, that Nigerians spend the highest amount of foreign exchange at the UK airport, Heathrow. Now that only shows you that our compulsive desire for foreign exchange is there, and with the kind of available funds we have, there's no way that you can. And that is why you find that exchange rates have moved in the dollar area from 150 now to 230. And we have not seen the end of it all. Whereas sterling has moved from 250 now to about 312, 330. So unless, of course, we change our consumption pattern.
How do we do that?
That's exactly what I'm saying, that we have to restructure the country. If we cannot change the kind of taste that we have, then we have to think of baking larger cakes. And that is by looking into agriculture, into mining, into quite a lot of other things that we never hitherto thought about. But now they're becoming very relevant to our situation. And by the time we increase the size of the cake, and then we reduce our compulsive desire for foreign exchange.
How do we sorry to come in again, how do we reduce our compulsive desire for?
It will come to that point. In the 60s, we used to hear of a very famous politician called Mazi Mbono Ojike. When things reached this kind of situation, he came up with the idea that When you get to a point in life where you cannot finance what you think you want to consume, you boycott the boycottables. It will get to that point. Even in the family circle, when you don't have enough money, you have to change your pattern. If you are taking maybe jam in the morning with your breakfast, with bacon and the eggs or whatever, you maybe can make do with your yams or plantain or whatever. It is going to, or pepper, it's going to get to that point that Nigerians will now start cutting their coat according to their cloth, not even their size anymore. And we are getting to that point. I know that some families that used to send their children abroad for education are now thinking twice that, okay, why would I need to spend so much when I can access first-class education in Nigeria at lesser cost, with good quality, with good quality. Yes, I think so. Some of our universities are now getting listed. I can say this with authority because I was the pro-chancellor of a university. And I know that so many private universities are there today that the standards of which are very, very high. And the public universities are moving in that direction as well. Now, the moment you get to a point where you believe that you can no longer finance this or finance that, then you have to look at your taste. So we are getting to that point. But because we never used to witness it, maybe we thought it was going to be impossible. It's going to come to fruition, and that's the reality.
Okay, now moving on. There's been, still staying within the rail sector, there's been so much hype about the 300 billion fund to the rail sector by the Central Bank of Nigeria at a single-digit interest rate. I want you, being in your domain, what is your take on that? How is that? How accessible is that fund?
First, the philosophy of a single-digit interest rate for some sector financing is very laudable. And I think government has really taken the bull by the horns, because ordinarily, no deposit commercial bank will want to touch some of these sectors. The rail sector has taken advantage of this low-priced intervention fund, so to say. Aviation, in agriculture, in housing, in SME, and now, in fact, we had it in the Nollywood. So I think it's very good. But the point is that for organizations that are expected to take advantage of them, they've not been used to the kind of rigorous requirements of banks. Or you go to prepare a feasibility report, you've got to prepare your business plan, your accounts must be in place for the past 3 years, your projections must be in place, and of course, your security. Some of them probably are living, doing their business in rented apartments. So for them to be able to access the funds may be very difficult. And that's why government again has gone to another secondary level, that to make it accessible for organizations that are deemed to be the real beneficiaries of these funds, they should at least step things down. The issue of security should be stepped down, and documentation, should be stepped down as well. And quite a number of banks are embracing this kind of philosophy. They are now training who will be beneficiaries before the loans, during the loans, and after the loans. But except, for government, there's no organization, no bank can lend a single digit. In fact, as of today, most banks are lending between 25 and 30%.
Well, why is this so? Because you find in other clients, you can actually get a loan from a commercial bank at a single digit.
Yes, I agree. But it's a function of your own rate you pay for your deposits and what you are going to charge. For instance, deposit funds are gradually moving away from the banks. I hope you heard recently that federal government has moved away funds, agencies and government funds, from the commercial banks to the vault of the central bank at zero interest rate to mop up liquidity so that inflation will not be high. But part of the inflation is being caused by government itself, because they spend on so many other things. But they can always do this by raising bonds or whatever. But if you don't have the kind of low price deposits in banks, there's no way you can lend money at single digit.
In the last 2 years, there have been increase in the cases of fire incidents in markets, shopping malls, and residential buildings in major cities across Nigeria. Often, when these fire incidents occur, it leaves in its wake tremendous loss in human lives as well as goods. In developed economy, people usually use insurance to guard against their loss, especially fire insurance. Fire insurance is a contract which requires the insurer to compensate the insured for the financial loss which he or she may face due to the damage or destruction caused to his or her property, goods, as a result of fire during a period which is decided at the time of insurance. In return, the insured is required to pay consideration premium to the insurer in order to avail this particular service. In a bid to safeguard the public, the Insurance Act 2003 has provided for compulsory insurance of all public buildings, multi-story buildings under construction. The meaning of public building is so wide that it excludes only perhaps private owner occupier residential building. In any case, no reasonable house owner needs to be compelled by law before insuring his building or goods in a market or mall. So we thought. The recent fire in Elepo Street in Balogun Market, Lagos Island, brought to the fore the low awareness and penetration level of insurance in Nigeria.
Bèrè à ń pa à ń finá pa à ń fomi pa títí tó fi di ní ńlá mọ́ wa lọ́wọ́. Ọlọ́run kó ṣàkóso ìsíná NEPA kò síná tá a pé bóyá iná wà ní ṣùgbọ́n Ọlọ́run ló mọ ní tó fa nípa náà yìí k'Ọlọ́run kó ṣàánú wa o. Níjọ́ tí náà yẹn jó gangan ni mo ṣe ń gbọ́. Níjọ́ tí náà yẹn jó ni mo ṣe gbọ́ pé tíyàn bá ń ṣe ìṣòro àti wọn wà bá wa ń bìbà. Wọ́n dà pé wọn ní ṣọ́ọ̀bù náà máa wá bá. Àwa tá wà ní títì wọn wà bá wa.
A gbọ́ nípa ẹ̀ ṣùgbọ́n kò fi bẹ́ẹ̀ yé àwọn èèyàn wa tó nípa ti insurance yẹn kán tún bọ̀ jáde síta kán wá enlight àwọn èèyàn wa irú àwọn tí wọ́n kàwé wọ́n á lè mọ irú nǹkan tí ìtumọ̀ insurance nǹkan tó túmọ̀ sí gẹ́gẹ́ bí nǹkan tá à ń gbọ́n sí pé tẹ́ni yẹn tó bá ṣe pé ó insure ibi ìsìn owó yẹn lọ́sẹ̀ ò ní pọ̀ wọ́n yìí máa assist ẹ̀ díẹ̀ but kò yé àwọn míì so kán túbọ̀ jáde bóyá tán bá enlight wọn àrú àwọn ọlọ́jà wa yìí náà kò ń ṣe pé gbogbo wọn náà ni wọ́n kàwé but tán bá sọ fún wọn dáadáa wọ́n máa bóyá àwọn náà máa lè ṣerú nǹkan bẹ́ẹ̀ jẹ́ ní rúmà tí ó ṣẹlẹ̀ sí ìsìn a lè sọ bóyá ó ṣerú ẹ̀ so eléyìí máa jẹ́ lẹ́sìn fún tí ò bá ṣe òun náà lè fi lọ fáwọn insurance yẹn láti insure property ẹ̀ so ó máa dáa tí ìjọba bá lè ṣe pé kán tún jáde láti máa tọ àwọn èèyàn wa tó ní ṣọ́ọ̀bù ńláńlá lọ so wọ́n á lè mọ nǹkan tí insurance mean torí nǹkan báyìí.
a ti gbọ́n pẹ̀ ó dáa kíyàn ṣe insurance ààrẹ kíyàn dẹ̀ ṣe nípa ilé nípa business èèyàn pàápàá nípa even though mọ́tò téèyàn ń lò èèyàn lè ṣe insurance fún.
Many people who really need fire insurance often think that the premium they have to pay will be too high, so they leave their risk to chance and probably think it will not be their portion.
Yes, most people knew about insurance, but I don't think everybody is aware about it. Because from this kind of business, I don't think, like me now, I operate with a very small capital, you understand? So I don't think I have the money to be able to insure my, to insure my goods for the kind of capital that I have. So I don't have much awareness about this insurance thing, because all my own goods are not insured, because I have a store up there too.
Is it true that premium for fire insurance is very high, or the assumption by those who need it is misplaced?
Why people don't take insurance in this part of the world is more of knowledge of insurance or importance of insurance to their business, to the survival of their businesses. So it has to do with lack of knowledge and understanding of insurance, particularly with respect to the price. Fire insurance appears to be one of the cheapest insurance when you look at the basket of risk that insurance company sells. For instance, if you compare fire policy, the price of fire insurance with vehicle, I mean vehicle is on a very high side. Fire is very, very cheap. You find out that, for instance, let me give an example. You have a premises worth of 5 million and you really want to insure it, you'll be paying far less than 0.5%, which means that you'll be paying a very infinitesimal amount compared to the sum insured, and if also compared to vehicle, which is on the higher side. Well, I think the reason, or the major reason why people don't take fire insurance is because they don't really know the importance, and maybe they are not even also aware of the infinitesimal amount they have to pay to buy the protection.
While the required premium sounds ridiculous, given the value of goods that have been lost to fire, the government must take the blame to a certain extent. This is because, despite the provisions in the Insurance Act 2003, implementation and enforcement is non-existent. Even some government buildings which falls under the public building in the Act are not insured. So when the unexpected happens, people lose money and look for ways to get back on their feet again, instead of using the risk transfer mechanism which insurance provides. The insurance operators also need to step up the game by creating massive awareness about the benefits and usefulness of insurance. If insurance is indeed the bedrock of modern society, the industry must rise to the occasion so that the incessant incidents of fire outbreak in major markets and malls won't send more people into poverty line as a result of losses they suffer from such incidents.
Alright, that's the time on this edition of the program. I do hope you thoroughly enjoyed it. Like I always say here, for comments, questions, observations, do feel free to get in touch with us on 017763981 or 08033357879, or better still, send us an email, almond4xx@yahoo.com or almondproduction@gmail.com. You can also visit us on our website, www.almondreports.com. Like us on our Facebook page, Almond Finance and Wealth Report, and view past episodes of this program on our YouTube channel, Almond Reports TV. Join us every Wednesday by 9:45 a.m. live on Nigeria FM 102.7 for our Pidgin English program called Waiting Insurance They Do Save. My name is Faith Ogwade. Until same time, same station next week, we'll come your way with a fresh package of this program from all of us here. It's goodbye.